Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is 310 to Yuma. It is a very old movie. It's from 1957. But still want to give everyone a spoiler warning,
Yeah,
just
right.
in case you haven't seen it.
Just in case. A movie from 1957, directed by Delmer Daves. Yeah, this is an interesting one. It was a black and white movie from
Yeah.
1957.
Well, the funny thing that you and I were just talking about before we started recording was we wanted to make sure we were watching the same movie uh, because there's two 310 to Yumas. There's the original, 1957, and then there's one that was created in 2007, which I almost watched last night.
It would have been funny if we're like, what, like we're talking about it, like, oh, that didn't happen in the movie
Yeah,
that
I'm
I
talking about
watched.
Christian Bale, and you're just like, wait, what? Christian Bale was not in the movie I watched.
Which is funny. This movie, like we talked about the Criterion Collection quite a bit, but this movie is part of the Criterion Collection, the 1957 version.
Yes, not the
Uh,
new one.
yeah, not the new one. And I actually own the so that'll kind of answer the question that I have that we typically have at the end of the podcast. But I actually own the physical copy of this movie from the Criterion Collection. I was like doing like a random, like, oh, I have like this much money to spend. So I just bought like three random movies. And one of them was this one, 310 to Yuma. And they have special features that you can watch. And I watched it at the end of the movie when I was done with the movie. But they had an interview done by the Criterion Collection, interviewing the writer of the original comic
Mhm.
that is titled 310 to Yuma. And so they're talking to him and everything, and he talked about like, oh, he's like, I always loved westerns. He talked about he wrote for these like 10-cent westerns, these like comics western that were like 15 cents at the time. And so he was talking about, and he's talking about the movies. And he's like, yes, he loved this movie that we were going to be talking about, the 1957 movie. And he's like, but the new one from 2007, he's like, I don't know what they did.
Oh
Because
no.
yeah, there was like talking about the end. The director decided to change the end of the movie and the end
Oh.
of the story. And he's like, he said he knew some of the writers on the movie, and he's like, hey,
Mhm.
like who said that was supposed to be done? And the guy
Oh,
and the people were like, oh, the director wanted it that way. And he's like,
goodness.
it doesn't make sense, right? And they said that the writers were like, no, but we have to do what he says.
We already got paid, so
So you can tell he was like, no, I do not like that. But he just like he had a point of like he's like, for me to make a writing or make a living out of writing, he was like, I want to write to be for my stories to be sold to production companies. And I
mm,
guess he kind of like already alludes to like, all right, well, if you're gonna do that, you kind of have to go with the punches of like people changing your story because now you sold it to the production company and stuff. I don't know, but
yeah, at that point it's out of your hands. Like whatever they want to do, they can do.
right, yeah. So it's like you are the person that could be like the person that like, oh, is the all knowing of the story. But if some director wants to come in and be like, I want to be the next Christian or Christopher Nolan, and they want to change everything, it's like you're gonna have to go with it.
It's like just let the movie go backwards.
Right? Yeah, right.
Like what?
What?
That doesn't make sense for this movie.
Yeah, right. But let's get into the movie.
Yeah.
What would you like most about the movie?
So I don't have too many notes, but like one of the things that stood out when I started it, it really like the opening was reminiscent of like a Tarantino movie, like with the score or with the song that was playing, and then the wide shot of the horses running through the frame.
Yeah.
I just felt like, man, I'm in a Tarantino movie right now.
It could be like that's where some inspiration. We know Tarantino actually watches like a crazy amount of movies.
Yeah,
So I think
everything.
his like internal database of like different scenes must be like astronomical.
Mm,
And to know where he's pulling things from, man, you watch some of these movies, you're like, oh, that totally is like probably what Tarantino got that like idea or something, or
Yeah.
like he makes it his own and everything and all that stuff. We know Tarantino's great at doing that, but yeah, you see these little inspirations from these other like long ago movies, and you see how far
Hmm.
back his collection of knowledge can go.
His repertoire of
Yeah.
movies. Well, even like I'll geek out over like people that make YouTube videos analyzing his movies, and they'll
Mhm.
like pull interviews and different things, and they'll show like screenshots from his scripts, and you'll see it in the script, like reference such and such movie, uh this scene from such and such movie, like, and it lands at this time of the movie. And then I guess the people that were in said movie for that particular script will go and watch that scene, and then they'll cut to that scene in his movie, and you're like, holy shit, like I get it, like I get the inspiration, but he truly made it his own.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he gets like little things like the wide shots and everything that we saw. Like, I feel like this movie, 310 to Yuma, would
Hmm.
probably give a majority of the inspiration to his the Hateful Eight.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and so which
maybe a
is
little Django.
a little bit of Django, yeah. So it's like you see where like you have wide shots of a carriage kind of walking or driving, riding through, kind of a setting, and that was nice to see. Like that
Hmm.
opening shot, I think sets the tone for what
Yeah,
you're gonna see down
it
the
was
road.
pretty too.
Yeah, right. And all right, let me ask you this: Do you
Hmm.
believe that they actually like filmed this movie like out in like that area and stuff, like, or
Oh,
was
for
this on a set?
sure.
Yeah,
No, I
right.
think
Like
they
you
had
can't
like,
have that.
I think there were some pieces. I actually have that as one of my likes. Like I really enjoyed the pace and the flow of the movie.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't too fast, wasn't too slow. Like you got to digest everything as it occurred. But then I really liked the locations and the sets. Like that opening shot seemed like, hey, let's go out to the desert of Arizona or Utah. Let's get this beautiful shot. But then they also have sets that they built to have like Western towns, like the confrontation city. Like that was for sure a set, but it didn't feel like a set. Like it felt like they found some abandoned like Western town, and they were like, "Hey, let's film real quick
Right.
before the people come back."
Yeah. Yeah, it did seem like that where it's like and I think that that adds to those movies back then where like nowadays you see there's you can tell
It feels
like
like a
things are
set.
yeah, it feels like a set, things are
Hmm.
CGI and stuff. You're putting that like background, which has made production easier now.
Yeah,
Like you can only imagine like back then, like lugging all that crap all over the place and stuff
having
and
to
trying to
build it, like taking
yeah,
months and months to build
yeah, but
it.
it adds to the character of the movie. You feel like you're like transported to the West and everything, and you're going to the saloon with with the other guys too.
I don't know if you've seen it, but they have a documentary on Apocalypse Now, and they
Oh
talk
no.
about, yeah, they talk about the set design and like how long it took. I think it was like 4 months, if not longer, for them to like build every set out there. And then it got
Jeez.
destroyed in like a hurricane at some point. So they had to rebuild it.
Oh my God. And then you have
Yeah.
fat Marlon Brando come in. Like, I wasted my 4 months of my time for this fat guy coming to wing
Dude,
it the whole time.
if you watch that documentary, it's such a shit show. Everything they go through, you're just like, why would you even continue? Loss of money, like actors didn't want to do it. Yeah, shit show.
But it made it work. It's a
Yeah,
great movie.
yeah.
I agree with you in terms of like the pacing because I got up to go make myself some like dinner and stuff while we kind of watched like half of it and then got and then stopped to like get some dinner and stuff.
Hmm.
But like the first thing when I paused the movie, I was like, I like they take their time to tell a story and
Yeah,
everything. I think no matter what, like this thing does not have a lot of action. Like if you think about a
no,
western, you think like everyone's gonna be like popping off on each other and stuff, and like there's gonna be
like
like pistol
Tombstone.
duels. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Tombstone. Yeah, definitely. Like that one had a lot of action compared to
yes.
this one. and this one maybe what like two shootouts, I think, right? Like
Yeah,
that's a few, had a
and it was
few
all
people
like towards
die.
the end of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, it
Well,
was
they
like
had
the
like the one in the
beginning.
beginning. Yeah,
Yeah, and so that was like that was the one at the beginning was two people that
yeah.
like were shot and stuff, and that kind of sets the story up.
These are
But
the
after
bad
then,
guys.
yeah, right, and that's like it's like 12 of them, like they
Yeah.
pretend to be cattle ranchers and stuff, and but but the pacing of the story made it that you like invested in the story,
Hmm.
and I guess it kind of like that's what talking about the writer. Like I wonder if the source material was so like good and detailed that
Hmm.
like you really didn't have much to kind of like to like grow in terms of the story. Like you just keep it at its pace and stuff, and let it go and tell its own story and stuff.
You
And
said it was you said it was from a comic, right?
yeah, yeah,
So I'm
it
thinking
was
that almost has the movie written for you. Like if you look
right.
at a comic and then look at a movie, like it already has the storyboard kind of laid out for you,
Mm-hmm.
has the dialogue to a certain extent. You probably have to fluff it up and add some more. But if you go from a comic book to a movie, that's as close as you're gonna get to like a storyboard for something.
Right, and you pretty much have it there, and you just
Yeah.
gotta input the real people and stuff.
So I don't know how the 2007 one messed that up
Yeah, that's
because
someone
they had a
being
full-on movie and a comic book they could have pulled from.
well. We should see if that director is still directing stuff.
Watch it be some big name
I
person. It was
know.
like, oh, I guess he knew what he was doing.
But the actors, I think I really appreciated the actors like the main bad guy. I think he was
Mm.
perfect
He was
to kind of
lovable, like to a certain extent. Like he was a dick, but he was like not lovable, but likable.
yeah, you can tell like he knows how to like weasel his way out of things and stuff.
Yeah.
And even at the end, it was funny because at the end when his buddies showed up, when all of them showed up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well like now you can just let me go and we'll just walk away from this." You can
Hmm.
tell his tone changed because he knows that he didn't need to weasel himself out of it at that point. Like it's gonna happen. And so it seemed like he got more confident with I don't know. It's just like my girlfriend said that she was like, "Oh, his tone kind of changed." Like
Hmm.
towards the end when like they were gonna walk to the
To the train,
train
yeah.
station.
But
But
even when he chose to jump on the train, like, oh hey, you saved me in the hotel room, so I'm gonna jump on this train with you.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
a
it
totally
did.
different person than who he was 5 minutes before that.
Right. He was very kind of like detailed and stuff. It was like there was like
Hmm.
a lot of nuance to his character and stuff. And it's funny because like you wouldn't believe like a Western kind of like story would have like a lot of nuance to a character, especially the bad guy too, because typically the bad
Yeah.
guy is like, I'm the bad guy and stuff. Like the bad guy from Tombstone, like the one that's like the leader and stuff. He's
Hmm.
like some dude you can tell like that's the
They're
bad
very
guy, but
one dimensional. Yeah. I am
yeah.
a bad guy.
Where this guy, no,
He has a heart.
he has a heart. He kind of sort of fell in love. I don't know. I take it that he kind of fell in love with the barkeep
And the
after
wife.
yeah, and then the yeah, all right. Let me ask you this. You brought up the wife.
Hmm.
Did was he talking about her because he said that he knew someone
I
from San
think
Francisco,
it seemed like it because the way she was like giving him the googly eyes, I was like,
right? I was like, that's totally
like,
her.
yeah. So that's actually on my dislike part, my dislike notes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can jump into that and then jump back. But I have two dislikes, and they both involve that man's family, not the bad guys, but the main guy's family. The
Mm,
wife, because of the whole googly eye situation, and then her just showing up to like uh Confrontation
to
City or whatever.
yeah.
And it's like, lady, you can die here. Like, what are you doing? Where are my children?
And then where's the kids? Like I know
Yeah.
back then like you just left kids everywhere, but
But it's like, no, like take care of the kids. Like, I'm good. I'll get it situated.
yeah.
And then it was the kids too. I dislike the kids. The kids were just like way too rambunctious. Like, hey dad, go kill these outlaws. It's like, dude, what? No.
Yeah, especially that dinner scene where the kid is like,
Oh
"You move
goodness.
once, my dad's gonna shoot you, or I'm gonna shoot
Yeah.
you." It's like,
It's like,
all
dude, shut up.
right, like he's not really saying anything, but but you can expect that like kids, even nowadays, like kids are kind of like over frivolous and stuff, and like
Yeah.
kind of like are talk a little bit too much, I guess. But yeah, they could have reined it in a little bit more.
Yeah, I was like, dude, we may die. Shut up.
Man, they probably see like two people a year and stuff, so they're like excited that
There's a person in our house.
yeah, right.
So I ended up looking up the director for the 2007 version of it.
Uh,
I think he's doing all right.
yeah.
So he directed Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, that's a very
He
good one.
Yeah, right. He did Logan, which was really good also.
Hmm.
He did The Wolverine, which was a
Oh,
couple TV series. He did Walk the Line.
oh, the Joaquin Phoenix, the Johnny
Yeah,
Cash
the Johnny
thing.
Cash.
Hmm.
He did Copland and Girl Interrupted. And there's some other stuff, but those are like the big ones that I know
Hey,
of.
I guess that's the thing about a director. You're gonna have to go with the ones that fail and the ones that don't and stuff, and just hopefully you can sell yourself after the fail ones and try to get the next one.
Yeah,
Like there's only a few directors out there that would probably, no matter what, like get movies made no matter what. Like
that's true.
Christopher Nolan, Tarantino, and stuff. Like, I don't think they
Scorsese.
need to like sell their movies. Scorsese, yeah, like to production companies. Production companies are probably waiting around. Like, when are you done? Do you have another one? Like, what's going on? Like, we'll
We
buy it
need
now.
you. Come back to us, please.
but but yeah, for me, it's like the acting. I think, especially the bad guy, like going back to those like special features of the movie.
Mhm,
Um, they talked about it that they also interviewed the Criterion Collection also decided to interview the son of the Glenn Ford who played the bad guy Ben Wade,
mhm,
and so they interviewed his son, and then the both the writer of the original story and the son said that like actually they had like a mix up that they had Glenn Ford come in and they they accidentally told him that he was going to play the good guy who is
mm.
his name's Dan Evans in the or no
Yeah,
yeah
Dan
Dan
Evans.
Evans, that he was going to play the good guy, and he's like no, like that's not who I want to play. And I guess they had like a mix up, and so they actually like told him like, oh, actually you're going to be playing the bad guy, and he's like good. He's like, that's the person who I wanted. And they said like probably like he wanted to play that one because that guy had more lines, but
Mhm.
also he's the bad guy, so he gets to have more fun and stuff with it.
Yeah, get to kill more people.
Yeah, right. Like, but it was nice to hear that where it's like he knew what he wanted, and that like his son confirmed that like he learned how to ride horses when he was young. He learned how to like actually shoot guns like revolvers from like the Western time to like hone his craft to then be able to act in these movies and stuff. So he like knew how to do it on a daily basis for himself, and then also would do it in the movies. So he said like westerns were his like favorite movies that he would make.
Mm.
So I think you saw that. I think you saw
Yeah.
like his passion for the movies. Like you probably talked to what's his name? Who's the guy that was in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly? The old
Clint
guy.
Eastwood.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. You could probably ask him like what's your favorite style or like favorite genre of movie, maybe, since he was in so many westerns that
He's
that
been
would
in
be.
everything.
Yeah, he's been in everything basically, but but I think the acting, no matter what, like the good guy too, like he had that one moment where he was like sad and everything. Like he was emotional and
Hmm.
everything, but he still tried to keep his cool and understand that he needs to do this one task to inevitably get the money that he wants, the
Yeah.
$200, which right now it doesn't seem like a lot, but like probably most of us can spend $200 in like an hour pretty easily.
Yeah, which is
But
crazy.
yeah, which is crazy. But back then it was a lot of money, and but and then it turned into where it's like I don't need the money. Like not he does need the money, but he's not doing it for the money anymore.
Hmm.
But and I think no matter what, I think he was still civil
Yeah.
to the bad
And he
guy, and
treated
it
him like a person. Like to invite him over
yeah
for dinner is insane to me.
he cut his steak for him too.
Yeah.
That was like an
Get
interesting
the fat
choice.
off, please. I don't like
Yeah.
fat. It's like, what? No.
Yeah, it was like that was very interesting where everyone else kind of saw him as like, who cares? Like either like we kill him or we send him off to prison and let him rot.
Hmm.
Where he kind of like understood that like we all make choices in our lives and stuff, and so whether or not it's good that they didn't like turn it into like a like he was like a religious person. Like sometimes like those people are like the religious like God fearing people. Like I need to be
Oh
nice to
yeah.
everybody, but which is not it was nothing
Nothing
bad
bad
or
about
anything,
it, but
but it turns it into like, oh, whatever. Like, okay, he's just doing it for his own self worth. But
yeah.
this one seems like he wants to do it because who cares? Like, it's still another
Yes.
person
Yeah.
and everything. But that was my likes. My dislike actually, the end of it was kind of slow. It slowed down like way too much.
No, because you were waiting
Um,
for like a big time shootout.
Yeah, like I was fine with like the pacing, but then when you got to the
Hmm.
point where it was like he said like he was gonna wait till like 10 minutes till
Oh yeah.
3:10 and stuff till the train comes and stuff. But it like slowed way down and everything.
It
Like the
did.
the those like those five dudes that they got to like help out in the hotel decide to leave, and then it turns into like I'm begging you and stuff. And then like it slowed down way too much at the end
It was
where
sorry.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just like, yeah, reiterating like it like once you got to like the train scene, then you're like, all right, like good. Like I don't know if you're happy that like, all right, you kind of understand that it's ending soon,
Hmm.
but like it was more so like, all right, it's nice that they're wrapping up the story and stuff, and like we're getting to this culmination of what we're trying to lead up to. Because the whole
Yeah.
story is basically just them waiting around for
To
this
310.
train that comes at 3:10 to
Yeah.
Yuma and stuff. And so that's like literally the entire point of the story, which is just waiting around for a train. And you're kind of holed up. It's almost like those like it's like the early versions of those movies that like the assault on precinct 13 and it and everything, those like where you're like stuck in a spot
Oh
and
yeah.
other people are coming to get you. And so it's like a an early version of those types of movies where you're kind of just waiting around and you're trying to buy time until the inevitable that you have to go and do something.
Yeah. I was thinking like that the final scenes reminded me of Grand Theft Auto, where you have to do like the sneak mode, like the stealth mode,
Uh-huh.
because of how slow it was, like hiding behind freaking fences and walking
Horses.
through smoke. It's like this reminds me of Grand Theft Auto.
And I guess the like Grand Theft Auto, weirdly enough, like you kind of know Grand Theft Auto, like you get to a point where you're like you're playing the game and you get to a point you're like, oh, it's about to end. And you kind of
Hmm.
understand that because it slows down and then it ramps up to the very end. And it's like it
Yes,
doesn't let you get up and like save the game because it's like, no,
you have
you're
to
like
finish.
you're in the final mission and stuff and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I always kind of know it's like, oh crap, I should have known that before. Like I only have like 30 minutes left.
Like I just want to drive around and shoot people. Come on,
Yeah.
please. I don't want to be in the final mission yet. I have everything unlocked. Come on.
but uh but yeah, like it was a good, enjoyable movie,
Yeah.
and talking about like we wanted to kind of do a mixture of westerns for this month
Hmm.
with an interlude of Creed as we did last week. Uh, but but it like I feel like these movies like set the stage for these like grand like Tombstone. I think you would never be able to make a Tombstone movie without like the success of like this movie 310 to Yuma or
Yeah.
other westerns before it.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Once upon a time in the West. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you definitely and to have the ensemble cast of like in Tombstone to be like I want to do this because I've seen these previous westerns and they look a lot of fun and maybe they look fun to them and everything, so it was enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a fun watch. Again, it wasn't long. Like it was
No, it was like 90
90
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 90 minutes. You got in, got out, and it was a fun ride.
Funny thing, what I was kind of like talking about, like the shots that they did in the movie,
Hmm.
the beginning, like we were seeing like the beginning intro, and they have some shots where like they have a camera on the stagecoach with them,
Hmm.
and it's like moving around and stuff. I was thinking, man, that like I told my girlfriend, I was like, the size of cameras back then, that probably would have been hard.
Yeah, because they had it on a tripod for sure, because how big it was.
Yeah, and then like moving it around like that in like be like, and it was like an over the shoulder shot of the stagecoach driver. So it's like I would like to know how the hell they did that, because it's like how big are those freaking cameras? Like 50, 100 pounds maybe.
Just two guys with it on their
Yeah.
shoulder, trying to like stay as still as possible.
Yeah, they cost like thousands of dollars back then. It's like, oh, we
Yeah,
broke two of them because we wanted this one shot.
the studio's broke. We broke two
Yeah.
cameras.
But you get a sense as to why it was introduced into the Criterion collection.
Yeah.
Like it's a good story. It's a straightforward story. Like
Hmm.
don't like there's nothing wrong with that and stuff.
No
And
fluff.
it's
Yeah.
well shot too.
Yeah.
There's a,
It's pretty.
and to have the detail of like we talked about it before with Persona, where I think black and white kind of like gives you a good amount of detail that you would never believe when like, oh, like you saturate the color out of it. They You would think you'll lose stuff with like black and white, but no, like you have a lot of contrast, especially those night shots.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it was like moonlit, because back then like the moon was probably the brightest thing in the sky, like
Hmm.
or is. I can't science, I know science, so it is the brightest thing in the sky.
I was watching a YouTube video earlier, and it was from like a YouTube filmmaker, and he was talking about the difference between like color, like watching something that was shot in color versus black and white. And he was saying if you watch something in color, you're kind of distracted by the colors, the saturation, so you're not really
Mhm.
focusing on the shot itself. But for black and white, you focus more on what you're seeing in the frame. And I think this is a testament to that.
I can see that. That's a real good description of like, because yeah, you can get lost by the vibrancy of
Hmm.
like you can almost kind of like overshadow or like cover up your mistakes in
Yes.
cinematography maybe with like
Yes.
having too much of a vibrant like color scale, where that's interesting. That's a good way to kind of like look at that.
Yeah.
And it does. I think it does. Like we're so used to seeing things in color, like with all of our media and stuff. But when you take it back to a black and white, you
It makes you stop.
instantly, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's
you
so
focus on
different.
it.
Hmm.
Well, let me ask you, what do we typically ask our rating first?
Yeah. Rating.
What did you rate it?
I gave it a three.
A three?
I would give it three and a half. I probably would raise it. I really enjoyed the movie. Uh, like we said, it was straightforward, no fluff. Yeah, I would give it a three and a half. I gave it a three, but I'm probably gonna raise it after we finish recording to a three and a half.
Yeah, I saw your rating. I ended up giving it a four actually, and I was like debating between actually a three and a half and a four.
Mhm.
And because I was like, when I got to the end, when it like slowed down
Yeah.
and it got too like a little bit too bogged down, um I was like, all right, like a three and a half. But I was like, I look back and I was like, I liked the story, it was fun, it was entertaining, the good acting on everyone's part, like no matter what and stuff. So and the set pieces were these set pieces match Tombstone and stuff, like how big and wide shot these, like it made you immersed in this kind of like world, of
Hmm.
which was like technically only like what now 120 years ago, which is not a crazy amount of time. Back
Yeah.
then in 1957, it was like 50 years before that or something. It was crazy, but yeah, so it's like I ended up keeping it with the four and stuff, and maybe I'll rewatch it and fluctuate the rating with that. But I really enjoyed it, and it was a fun watch to kind of watch just on the couch and stuff and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Sit back, kick your feet up.
Yeah, right. And it's like you're still paying attention to it. It's still an engaging story, but it's still a wild ride of like this tension too. But what about we already know my answer. I already own this movie
I
from the Criterion Collection, but would you see yourself owning this movie for yourself?
would watch it again first.
Hmm.
I think I would. I think I would have to watch it again before I buy it, though.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like other Western movies. Like if you want to have like a subsection of your collection to be like Westerns, like of those Westerns, does this kind of like get put onto the shelf for you? For me, it's already on the shelf.
Yeah, you're good to go.
But I'm gonna do that again sometime soon. Just kind of go on the Criterion Collection, just like buy random movies
Just close your
again.
eyes and start just poke the
Yeah,
screen.
just hope I don't spend too much money. But all right, Kai, any last thoughts?
No, check out 310 to Yuma from 1957, not from
Yes,
2007.
19. I don't know. Maybe watch the 2007 and have a contrast of like, all right, like here's the good one, and
Just raise your
maybe
fist in
here's
anger after you finish it.
right. But yeah, we totally encourage people to watch this movie. It was very enjoyable.
Yes.
But all right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one.